In the past, I felt like you would see artists on the street more, at events more, but this year people are a bit more wary of being celebratory out in the world. I'm not seeing as many parties this year. I'm not seeing as many events. We're throwing our own events here, and certainly we're having to take security into consideration. We've had meetings with people directly in contact with the police. There is a sense that the celebrations are slightly dimmed, at least at this stage. Certainly on social media, the artists can be a bit more ebullient about, oh wow, that was amazing to finally get to be up there and sing. But things do feel slightly muted compared to past years.
Hours and hours and powers. Life is no game, but it's ours. While the time goes wild.
I think the few people I've encountered, they're just happy to be here at Eurovision. However, certainly the volume on that discussion will turn up as we get closer to the contest. There will be protests. It's well known that protests are planned, and also authorities have had to come out and say, we're prepared for protest because they're aware that these will be taking place. Throughout this Eurovision cycle, we've seen artists very conflicted. They want to come to the contest and represent their country, but then also they feel that they're being thrust into a political situation because of everything that's happening off stage. So there's a lot of tension among the artists about how to handle questions and how to carry themselves. One approach I've heard quite frequently from artists, including Italy's Angelina Mango, is that they're here to represent their country and they're focused on themselves. And other artists have signed statements. They said, for instance, that they have sympathy for the people of Gaza, that they want a ceasefire, and that they're not going to walk away from the contest because they believe that cross-cultural communication is important. There's so many different vantage points on the conflict itself and also on participation. And because Eurovision is a microcosm of the real world, you're hearing all sides of the story.
And then I'm actually staying over in London tonight, so I stay with my friend and then have to drive back tomorrow, so it's not too bad. It is, but it's also so much of it is kind of, what's the word, I can understand why there may be protests at Eurovision this year. The EBU also recognises that, but this is also about freedom of expression as well, which is one of the core values of the organisation. So they do respect that, and I think they're expecting some protests, hopefully peaceful. And I think it's also worth remembering that singers are there, regardless of what country, to do a job, and they're not necessarily politicians.
Multiple people in shopping centers, on the street, indeed related to our Airbnb, people have said Malmö is probably the safest city in Europe right now because there's so many eyes watching everything. On the ground, you do see those police, you see that police presence. I was at a shopping center yesterday looking out the window towards the arena, and I saw 8 police walking up and down a street that had been barricaded off. This is clear signaling, telling people, if you want to cause trouble, don't do it here because the police are watching.
I feel it's positive, yeah. I'm only a little bit afraid of the worry about the Palestine and Israel conflict, and and I think that that shouldn't be a problem because it's about music. It's not about religion or politics.
Initially, I was really happy, of course. I am a Eurovision fan. But now with the Israel situation, it's kind of... I'm torn, to be honest. Yeah. The party feeling is just not there right now. Yeah.
Switzerland is probably the favourite. It could well be Croatia as well. The Netherlands is well favoured. But the difficult thing to predict when it comes to Eurovision is how the juries will vote and how the public will. So last year, Finland was the overwhelming favourite with the public. 18 countries gave it the maximum 12 points, and yet the juries didn't really like it very much, and it didn't do as well with them, which meant that Sweden won overall. So it's interesting to see that division between the public and the juries.
I interviewed the host of this year's contest, Petra Meda, and I asked her, will ABBA have a cameo? And she gave a very ambiguous answer. She said, it's 50 years, so presumably they'll do something, but I can't confirm if it's in real life, if it's a hologram, like an ABBA Voyage. So even the host of Eurovision has been signaling that something ABBA-related is coming. If we rewind to Eurovision 2013, which was hosted here in Malmö, one of the male members of ABBA actually composed the score, the opening number for the contest that year. So ABBA do love to be involved with Eurovision. We just don't know what form that will take this year.